right when the motorcycles are. Okay, so we have about a 30-second delay, so we're going to just do some small talk, just so we have a sound check. We had changed some settings around this afternoon when we were just playing with our equipment. So,
But was that a euphemism?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're married, it's good. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like you're hanging out under library tables in Florida sniffing people's feet without asking.
It's true.
We are not doing that.
Right. Or just women's feet.
Just women's.
Just women's feet.
Just women's.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay, all right. Thanks for bearing with us. I'll reintroduce what's going on tonight. I'm Lynette Bergen with Suite 171, and you are watching Just Start. And tonight's episode is an interview with The Tell. So Laura Eglund is here and her new business partner. And Laura, why don't you introduce your business partner again?
John Andrick hails from Crosby, North Dakota.
Boy, going way back.
His mother has no idea what actually happens at the Tell or that John has ever told.
She knows that I've told.
Oh, but she hasn't seen the story.
She hasn't seen it.
Okay. And I asked her to be my business partner when I realized that he holds my balloon string.
Oh.
Right. Like, I really thought I was a very grounded person for years. Because, you know, I was pulling off this business on my own and was a single mother for a few years, you know, back in the day. And clearly I was grounded and really had my shit together. And then I met John. And he just kind of, you know, he stands there with the balloon string and watches me go and yanks it back if I need to come back. But that's the biggest reason, is because he does the stuff that it turns out I'm A, not that good at, and B, really don't care about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really we're here to talk about The Tell. So why don't you give us an introduction of what is The Tell?
Rock, paper, scissors, go.
So that means
You
that I'm
say
doing
it so much more succinctly than I do.
Okay. Well, The Tell is a community storytelling slam. So it's a competitive event where there's a monthly theme. People sign up to tell a story based on that monthly theme. We've got 3 judges that then judge them based on their ability to tell a story, whether they hit the theme or not. 6-minute time limit is the recommended. And it's just a good time. It's an opportunity for people to get up and tell the embarrassing stories, the poignant stories, the meaningful stories that they have from their lives.
It is, however, not a place to rant, to rave, to soapbox, to practice your shtick.
Yeah. We're not stand-up comedy, it's not open mic.
I don't want people that are polished. No, the people who speak from the gut, those are the ones.
Right.
And up here people have a tendency to go funny because it's easy. And actually the thing that got my attention with John was that he was my first teller ever that I had to yell at. But then that, when I pulled his name, actually went from the gut and got down to the real stuff.
Did you make people cry?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He did.
Awesome.
Yeah. That was pretty great.
What inspired you to start The Tell?
You want the long or short version?
We only have a half hour,
Okay.
so
I'll try to Reader's Digest condense it. When I got an iPod way back in the day, I worked in an advertising agency, and all of the cool kids said, you need to download podcasts. And I said, the hell's a podcast? Right? And I'm picturing, like, you know, pea pods, and you're fishing with them. Why would you do that? And they taught me how. And back then, I would just choose things based on visuals, and I really liked this logo for The Moth. So I started listening to The Moth, and they are, as I'm sure you know, a storytelling competition out of New York City, and they now go nationwide and sometimes worldwide. And they actually, they're known for training. They're people you can take workshops through The Moth and then compete with your story.
Okay.
They also do, I just found out a couple of weeks ago and it blew my mind, they also do the pulling from the hat thing. But I fell in love with the idea that we all have something, every last single one of us, and that we all have it in common, and that's experience. And even if I don't understand your experience, just that I get to see your face, and that it's not polished, and that there isn't a narration, and that there isn't a soundtrack, I think it's very powerful, it's very raw, and I really appreciate that.
yeah. I've told before, and I'm a theater trained actor.
Yeah. Did you find that difficult?
I did. I did not have a script in front of me. I was really nervous about the word choices that I was making, because it was...
Even after seeing me up there?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, goodness. I was just like, you know, like it was... I wanted it to be polished and perfect, and it wasn't.
For the record, I am not polished nor perfect, and I say the fuck word a lot. John's, what do you say before every show? About, well, especially if you host.
Well, if I host, I just say you won't hear the F word or talk about my lady bits
Yeah.
nearly as much as you will if Laura's
surprises me
hosting.
that you weren't comfortable to not worry about those things in that situation. But I get it as well.
Yeah. I mean, I was comfortable standing up there and talking in front of people,
Yeah.
but knowing that I was going to, like, not, it was just not going to be a perfect story, that was the nerve-wracking part. Yeah, because it wasn't a script, you know, I didn't have it all down pat.
Right.
Yeah.
John had told me that telling was one of the hardest things that he's ever done because he gets up in front of people all the time. In the world of academia, of adult academia, he is constantly speaking in public, doing the things.
Well, teaching class,
Teaching
speaking
class,
at
right.
graduation, or leading staff and faculty meetings, those kinds of things.
Right.
And those are old hat for me at this point. But the first time that I got up to tell, I was scared out of my mind.
Yeah.
And I thought he was full of it until last year for my birthday. He said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to have a tell, but I want to tell." So he said he would host, and they pulled my name out of the hat first, and I said, I can't. I had a very similar experience to you. You know, and in one respect, when I get on stage, I expect people to accept me because either A, they paid to be there, or B, I'm getting paid to be there.
Right.
And, you know, in the happy world, both. But it doesn't always happen. But in this case, it really was. They didn't have to like me. I didn't have a script. I didn't have anything that said, someone is going to understand you.
Right.
But as scared as she was, she proceeded to tell the longest story in the history of the tell at about 26 minutes long.
Really?
So, yeah.
It's a good story.
It's not a bad story at all. It
Well,
was very long.
And
Not
as
a
the
bad story.
host and creator, I'm sure, you know, the audience gave you a lot of
Lots of
leeway with
leeway.
They were
that time
enraptured with my story. No, even watching it days and weeks later, I was like, oh my God, is this going to end?
frame. Yeah.
It's very long.
It kind of went on. It kind of went on.
So when you started, take me back to that moment where you knew I have to have this here now,
You know,
and now is the time.
I would love to tell you that I had taken business classes or I had consulted with people. That's not how it worked at all. There were key stories from The Moth that I kept coming back to and thinking, this really applies, you know, the thematic elements here really apply to everyday life and as well as to extraordinary circumstances. And I think I listened to The Moth for 2 or 3 years before I was, and this is just how I roll, sitting in my easy chair with my now ex-husband, 4 feet away in his easy chair, and I'm sure we were watching Leverage or something. I'm on my laptop, and all of a sudden I heard, "Call it the tell." And then I saw the logo and I went, well, I guess I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And it was like, pass me the ketchup, call it the tell.
Yeah.
Okay. And I put together the logo and I bought the website and just started piecing it together. And I had an immense amount of support from my boss, Justin Moline, here in Fargo. He's got the business acumen, thank God, because I don't.
Yeah.
And it's really shown me what it means to have a mentor.
Yeah.
We've never said, I'm your mentee and you're my mentor, which is good because he's younger than me. And it
Yeah.
makes me really mad when he's right. Does that sound familiar?
No. Not at all.
But the start of it was very frightening, and I remember getting on stage. Everything was easy.
Yeah.
Until the first time. And I got on stage, I told the 26-minute tell. I don't know how long it took that time. And then I sat down going, okay, I know now that they know what I'm looking for.
Yep.
Right? And it was a lot of my friends. It was all very well. I guess Laura's going to do. We better go see what her crazy ass is going to do.
Right.
But then the first real teller got up, and there was this incredible energy. I was sitting off to the side, so the stage is here, the audience is here, and as he approaches the mic, I could feel them rise to meet him.
Oh, wow.
And I sat there. I think that my cheeks were up, at my forehead. I was smiled so big. My face hurt for 2 days afterward.
Yeah.
And I couldn't decide if I wanted to cry or smile. So I did both. But there is that energy that when somebody gets on stage that's not me, there's an acceptance, and I don't know if it's Fargo.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, or I don't know why that is. I like to think it's because Fargo's pretty awesome.
Right.
But it might be worldwide. I don't know. There's something about a smaller space and a cash bar. Right, and a musician.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Suddenly you're friends with these other 124 people, and we want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. I have to think that actually might be universal, because
I hope so.
I've seen the same kind of thing happen in New York City, in London. Not that I'm a world traveler. I've been there and there.
We hope to actually travel with this. Was it you? It must have been you. I don't really have good ideas. Mine are very lofty, but John suggested, well, let's go to small town North Dakota.
Yeah.
Let's book a bar. You can book a band for $1,600 and they probably are going to suck.
Right.
Or you can listen to your neighbors tell the stories that you didn't know about or that you do know about.
Yeah.
And I think that there's some great value to that. And we also focus on colleges and universities across the country. So we're going to start traveling this, I think, winter.
Hopefully.
With
That's
that.
the goal.
So is that going to be like the traveling show, or are you hoping to sort of
I was thinking she was going to say circus. Were you looking for circus there?
It would have been appropriate. I can just imagine when we go on the road together what that's going to be like.
I was like, in the beginning we're not going to be able to afford like separate hotel rooms. And he's like, stay on your own side.
Yep.
Oh, fine. No, I think that the plan is he, myself, and probably Randy Olson are
Yeah,
maybe
we'll
one of our
probably take a
musicians.
musician.
Okay.
Yeah, the having a musician that and that you already have a repertoire with, I think is very important.
Yeah.
We learned that, I think, at least once.
Yeah, there's an energy and a rhythm with a team that has worked together.
And really, if I can't trade sexual harassment with somebody, I don't want them on my team.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You heard it here, not first.
We haven't written that into the code of ethics.
No, the code of ethics, I think, should actually state we don't report sexual harassment, we grade it.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a good one.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Many HR people have disagreed with you.
Yes, I am sure they have. The HR department's worst nightmare sitting right there. Right?
It's just, he's
good.
I behave most of the time.
Yeah, he's the good part, believe me. Very.
So, 5-year, 10-year plan, like.
I don't know that we've gone 10 years out yet.
Okay.
I would say for sure the 5-year plan is to get this to the point where this is Laura's full-time job.
Yep.
So that we're traveling.
I'm rolling in the
regularly.
dough.
Rolling in the dough. We just have lofty aspirations for how much money we're going to make off of this. I love my job, my day job, so I don't have aspirations to quit my job and do this full time.
Right.
I don't hate my job,
I didn't
but
say
I'm
that.
an accountant.
I didn't say you hate your job. I said I don't. So I'm very passionate about the work that I do in my 9 to 5. So I don't have that same
And you're good
goal of leaving that to do this. But yeah, I think we would love to be on the road pretty routinely on the weekends, to be traveling regularly, or to franchise out. So,
absolutely.
I mean, if we could have a handful of cities that are doing a full season rather than just having us come and do a one-off event, that would be ideal too, because then we don't have to be there, and yet we can still have our name out there, have our logo out there, still be generating some revenue for ourselves, and really spread, I guess, the message of the tell.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we can go for the first one, or we can go for the tell-off, or those kinds of things. But yeah, I think ultimately the goal would be for this to be Laura's full-time job, and for this to be something that I can generate some side income off of.
And that's the realistic part of it.
Yep.
The dream for myself is that it either gets purchased by a network,
Right.
or I go to the network and I get to learn something completely new.
Right.
Whether it's being just involved in the production, or I can't imagine they'd let me on TV, but maybe.
They will.
Maybe.
You gotta get used to censoring yourself a little bit.
Fuck you. That's why God made HBO.
That's
Fair
right.
enough.
That's right. Yeah, it's a perfect platform for like HBO or Showtime or.
And I think that the idea that we've all had enough of celebrities. Most of us have had enough of celebrity. That blown up ideal that for some reason our children are striving for.
Yeah.
It's not healthy.
And the reality TV drama.
Oh, absolutely.
Had enough of that too.
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. So I think that the real stories are where it's at.
Right. I think that might be, reflected in the kinds of, popularity of things like America's Got Talent and The Voice, and even those are, even though those are sort of talent oriented, it's the stories behind the people who are standing up there in front of America that I think help America vote for certain people.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and don't you kind of know who's going to win based on who they do a vignette on?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's a better idea. I think so too.
Yeah.
I would love to see this go like to an American Idol sort of position. However, when I decided to have judges, it was mostly because I didn't feel like vetting anything.
Yeah.
And, but I didn't want anybody to receive feedback in front of a group of strangers.
Oh, right.
That wasn't a professional.
Yeah.
That's not. Why would you put somebody in that position? I think that's ridiculous. Which is probably why starting in Fargo was the best thing, because nobody's going to say anything bad.
Right. Right.
Well, and we don't even tell people their scores.
No.
So if a person gets a 3 out of a possible 12, they don't know that. They just know that they didn't finish in the top 3.
Right.
So they're being judged, but they're not being critiqued.
Right.
And I think that's really important to distinguish, is that when you're up there, the eyes are on you and somebody's keeping score based on what you're doing. But at the end of it, we
they're also
celebrate all of the
drinking
stories. Yeah, exactly. And it's completely subjective. And I mean, 9 out of 10 times, I don't agree with what the judges say. But I mean, at the end of it, really, it's more about the experience of getting up there and telling, the experience of being in a room with strangers and being able to share that part of you. And it's less about the winning.
And
that's why we don't give prizes at the monthly ones.
Right. Yeah.
You get the opportunity to go on to the tell-off, and then we give a small monetary prize at the tell-off. So it's not like you're going to get rich winning the tell.
Right.
And I think that would be an important thing for us to continue down the road too, is just to make sure that it's more about the telling than it is about the winning.
Yeah.
So, and I also think that giving people an opportunity to do this really is connective, in that you understand why we say we're fostering community.
Yeah.
Because it happens organically in that situation.
Yeah, it really does. Whereas if you were giving a critique and you could do this better and you could do that better, it takes the fun out of it.
Right.
Both as an audience member and I'm sure for the people who are telling.
Even our most recent monthly event, we did an all virgins tell, or an all first time tellers event, and that was really important to us because we're to the point now where we've got a lot of repeat tellers, people getting up 3 and 4 times. Even if they've never won, their comfort level with being on the stage is such that they're just that much better. Their presence is more positive. They're more confident when they get up there. And so for a complete stranger to walk in there and see some of those regulars tell, it's intimidating.
Right.
Because you're already scared to get up there, and then if you see somebody get up there in the first couple of stories and just crush
They knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
you're not going to want to get up there.
Right.
So we wanted to go this direction of having all new tellers so that people could see, okay, this is what it's like to get up for the first time.
Again, John's idea.
So what are some of the surprising outcomes that what has been the most surprising about this process and this journey?
That just having your friends help you does not a business make.
Oh, yes. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Absolutely. This one pulled in a lot of what I suppose people would call obvious logic that I ignored because I was just having a good time with my friends and I was too scared to think, oh, this could actually be a thing. I mean, I can dream it in the back of my head and not tell anybody that, but to actually create it as a business model and to have that evolve has been John's doing, and we've come to a point where our team now, boy, they know what they're doing and they are on point, and we've been able to, I don't want to say downsize because that's not, through attrition, we've downsized. And
I would call it becoming more efficient.
Yeah.
well, that's like 4 words, and I could say it in 400,
Sure.
so why would I do that?
Yep.
Okay, as long as you understand. We got an intern this year, and he actually came to us like a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing, but it's very gratifying to me as a mother to be able to kind of parent again. He's my son's age, he's in his early 20s, and he's very interested in what we're doing. And what is he majoring
He's got a
in?
marketing and PR emphasis in his degree.
And he's very willing and he's very malleable. He wants to learn, and I think it's very important. And I told the team, yeah, we're still going to treat him like the intern.
Right.
Go fetch.
Right.
But on the other hand, do not ever criticize this boy without saying, here's how it could have been done, here's another way to look at it, and here's why. And I wish that we could have interns crawling all over the place.
Right.
I would love to be able to teach the world
Which
to sing.
I think we will, because we have such a nice connection with the university culture in town. One of the first non-regular tells that was done was over at Concordia.
Yeah.
We just did one at NDSU earlier this spring. So we've got that good connection with the university culture in town. So I think that opportunity to have students that are interested in show or performance or PR or marketing or any of those kinds of things could come in and learn from us, and frankly see how terrible we are at doing it.
Absolutely.
More often than not.
Sure.
But recognize that we can still be a successful enterprise even though none of us know what we're doing.
Right, it's kind of a shit show sometimes.
Yeah, it really can be.
Although, what people don't see is usually the shit show.
Right.
Usually.
Yeah,
Right.
no one else knows that it's a disaster.
Right.
We know that.
We know.
But we've also learned we need to pull in smart people that know what they're doing, and so we've looked at who's doing our social media, who's doing our design, and can we get people who are capable, because if it's left to us, we might catch lightning in a bottle once in a while.
Maybe.
But more often than not, it's going to be a mess. So we just can't do that. Or our partnership with Grassfire Studios has been incredibly important, because sure, posting audio behind the Tell logo on YouTube, that's cool, but it's so much better if you can see that person that's telling and watch a well-produced video.
Right.
So to have that partnership and to be able to continue that is really important to us. And we're giving them a free plug because
we love them. Also, the boys are hot. I don't mind that at all. We also don't work with anybody that's ugly. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. Everybody has to be hotter than me.
Beautiful people only.
Right. Yeah.
That is the business plan.
Our intern from last year is a part of the team now.
Okay.
And she's referred to as the Duchess of Cute.
Ooh.
And well, John refers to her.
I don't refer to her.
Okay, somebody on the team refers to her as our corruption project.
Nice. You have to have one.
Right?
Every business has to have a young mind they're going to corrupt.
Right. Oh yeah.
I like to think she was already corrupted. A bit.
So that actually leads me into a curiosity about your spreading the word. It has gone from, the early days where
20 people in the audience.
And to now where you have lines down the hall and people are
outside and 30 below waiting to get in.
Yeah. So how did that happen?
I don't think I've ever spent more than $50 a show. Well, probably never more than $25 a show on advertising.
Yeah.
And when I do, it's just on Facebook. So it's word of mouth and it's social media. And I suck at Twitter because I don't like it.
Yep.
You want to limit me to 140 characters? Not going to happen. So just really Facebook, and now Instagram is one of our things. Yeah. And I think it's just the kindness of friends, which then parlayed into experience being shared. And when you see someone that from work or what have you say, you have got to go to this. I can't explain it to you, but you've got to go. I think that's a really good testimonial.
Right.
Well, and I think our willingness to kind of jump outside of regular tell events, even when it's been on a limited basis, has given us an opportunity to open up new audiences. So being at NDSU, they had the NACUR conference, which is a residence life conference. So there was students from all over the country on that campus. And
all over the world,
yeah. And they had approached us about doing one there, and we said absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we just recently did the Unglued summer camp which was a fantastic event. I'm so jealous that I wasn't able to be there.
We're attending the whole thing next year.
And did a campfire tell. And so again, it was audiences that we weren't normally exposed to, because it wasn't just Fargo Moorhead people there.
You said exposed to.
Yeah. But even, at this last event, we had our September tell on the same night as Corks and Canvas, and we were right next to one of the gallery spaces. And as those people would sort of stumble in, we didn't hold them out. We let them come in. We didn't charge them at the door. We let them come in and sit down for a couple of stories, because we knew these are not people that normally would be here. They stumbled upon us. Let's let them see what we do.
Some literally.
Yeah, some literally. Corks and Canvas, they get a little wine,
That's it.
Yeah.
So, do you have any memorable stories that, have really stuck with you that you can sort of give us a little, whether it's, somebody standing up and telling a story that you completely would not have expected out of them, or, anything, like...
I have a cavalcade. Why don't you go first?
I would say recently, the one that stuck with me the most was Warren Christensen, who is a regular of ours, who tells pretty routinely, and then has also done music for us. He got up, and the whole intro to his story was just about how disgusting fingernails and toenails are and those kinds of things. But then he goes into this about how when his mom was dying of cancer, one of his last times with her was clipping her toenails. And it was just, the room was dead silent until the tears started to come.
And that's the first time he'd ever told that story outside of 2 or 3 people.
It was powerful, and so to have created an environment in which someone who's as cool as Warren felt comfortable.
So if you know Warren, he's not
that cool.
No.
And he's not a real doctor. But to have him feel comfortable getting up and sort of exposing that part of him and saying, I feel comfortable with this audience to be able to get up and tell this very personal thing about my life, that was unbelievable to me, because it has become so much of a kind of comedy show in a lot of ways. And so to have someone do that, it was awesome, and I'll never forget that one.
I agree wholeheartedly. I also think back to, almost anything Octavio Gomez has done.
Yep.
That guy is a natural, and he was a shithead as a child. So he has an enormous amount of stories that are really great.
Yeah.
And in fact, his Santa Maria, his grandmother beating him with corn husks, was the story that I looked at, and I listened to the audio a few times, and I thought, we're missing so much because you can't see him going, Santa Maria! Mimicking her beating the crap out of him with corn husks, and that's why I reached out to Grassfire Studios. And that has added such an element. I think also it offers people a chance to understand what happens at the tell, at least on, during a tell. And stories from people who are known in the community, but then reveal a different part of themselves, or maybe augment that. I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
And I've said this entire time, if you are one of the standard speakers on the circuit here in Fargo Moorhead, you are more than welcome, but I swear to God, if you're polished, I'm going to kick your ass off in the middle, because I don't want that.
Right.
You're a human being, and that's what we want, and we get a lot of that, and it's a lot of nervous human beings.
Yeah.
But that's completely raw, and that's natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it helps create that relationship with the audience to, we feel that from the person standing up that this is,
Do you remember when Bubba got on stage?
Yes.
There is a homeless gentleman. I don't know if he's still homeless or not. Anyway,
He's in and out.
In the homeless community. Very well known downtown. Everybody knows who Bubba is.
Okay.
And he joined us for an evening and was pulled from the hat. He had 124 people in the palm of his hand.
Yeah.
And that was one of my gladdest moments, my most grateful moments, was this is what our community is.
Yeah.
Right.
We've had people in their 70s get up. We had a blind woman get up. Her story was about skiing, and nobody else knew she was blind. No, it was a blind camp. There was something, I don't know. Erica is her first name, but her story was good. And I think that the ability for people to stop their normal lives and stop judging one another, which I'm the queen. I know that comes as a surprise to you.
That you're judgmental?
Yes.
Not even a little bit.
Thank you. I'm glad you know me. There is, I think, something softening in that opportunity to go, oh, I had decided that you were ABC, and really, I'm seeing myself in you, or I'm seeing my sister or my dad or somebody that I love in you. And that's, I think we're onto something, I think that's what makes community,
Right.
is that allowance of self in another, or the recognition of self in another.
Right. It really, there's always that.
Tony for the beer, everybody.
There's, and this kind of stuff goes around on Facebook all the time, where there's that quote, you don't judge a person until you've walked a mile in their shoes.
Right.
And, quotes are great and quotes are great. But it is that moment where then you can hear their real story, where you normally wouldn't have listened to a story.
Right. Which is, actually, I take a little bit of inspiration from, remember Charles Kuralt on Sunday Morning? And Charlie Rose does a great job, but there was something about him, because he was a dowdy man. His voice was odd. His personality was quirktastic, but he was every man. He was us, and the people that he talked to were all us. And I think that if like you're saying, the more people read that meme, if the grammar and punctuation are right, and the letting and the kerning don't kill me, if it's not Papyrus or Comic Sans, did I mention the judgy thing? Then maybe we can look past wearing the judgy pants.
Right.
Well, I think, one of the things that I have grown to really love about this is how well we get to know the people that are involved, and how connected to their lives we get to be in. Was it December of last year? January of last year, of this year? One of our regulars, Carolyn Sanflieben, her husband got sick with cancer, and it went very fast. And the night of the tell, Laura texts me and says, "You have to host. I need to be with Carolyn and her family." And right before the show started, we got word that he had passed. And to get up and talk to the folks in the crowd and kind of give this shout to Carolyn, who's a teller, who was at the tell-off, those kinds of things, but is also a business person in the community that a lot of us have worked with, to be able to talk about her and what she means to me and to Laura and to others at the tell, that was awesome. And it just has sort of laid a foundation for this being bigger than, again, it's fun and it's entertaining and it's hilarious and all of those things.
Good families are.
Absolutely. But at the end of it, we care about each other, and we care about what's happening in each other's lives. And that goes beyond the business or the entertainment or any of those kinds of things. It's community first for us. And if we never make a dime off of it, if we're building those kinds of partnerships and relationships, that's far more valuable. Now, we definitely want to make a dime or two.
Right, and I don't want to put a dime into it.
Right.
Too.
Right. Yeah, we don't want to lose money.
I don't want to be a 401c, that's what I'm trying to say.
Right. Yeah.
But
So, if you had more hours in the day, because we always find, that if we had more time in the day, I would make sure that I do this in my business, or I would, expand this, or what would you do if you had more time just for the tell?
Oh my God, I'd sleep later. Let's be honest on that. Mama needs a nap. I would work the business.
Yeah.
I would go about the business of the tell, which for me is just about relationships. That's the whole thing. I can hire an accountant, I can hire somebody to do graphic design, I can hire all of that, but the relationships are the only thing that require work, just like any good relationship. And if we screw up, we got to say so, which I've had to do to a couple of sponsors. Here's where I failed you. You may not have noticed, but I did. There's nothing like handing your integrity over on a plate. But I would have to say it's working on the relationships.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You?
I think for me, I would. First and foremost, I'd want to focus on getting us outside of Fargo Moorhead. I don't know that we've had the time or the energy to really
This has been a crazy
take
year.
that step. Yeah, and we both changed jobs, and Laura moved and is moving again, and all of those life pieces that happen.
Had a nervous breakdown.
That too.
You know what? That was the impetus for taking on. I shouldn't say taking on, for giving over control to more people. Yeah, I had a nervous breakdown, and I had to.
But I think too, we're going to be without a venue here in the next month or so, because Studio 222 downtown, where we've had a great relationship, they are not continuing after October.
Okay.
So I think in the immediate, that would be, I would want to pound the pavement and be seeing where exactly are there spaces that are going to fit our needs.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're going to find one that's as perfect as 222 has been for us.
It was a great space.
It's a fantastic space, especially for what we do.
Right.
I don't know that we're going to find another one, but we're not going to get close if we don't spend the time and put in some hours looking at spaces. And we've been out and seen a couple, and they're great, but they're just not necessarily what we're looking for. So again, a little plug. If anybody's watching and you know a space that would be good for us, we need to find one.
Yeah, we've got a needs list. Get hold of us because we know what we need.
Yeah. That really kind of leads into my last question.
No, we can't fit everybody in here.
What else is it that you need our audience to know, the people that are watching tonight? What do you need them to know?
Evangelize.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that we're going to find a space.
Right.
I have no doubt that we're going to continue, even if it is in my living room. But evangelize.
Yeah.
That really is it, because we can create the world's greatest spots, which Grassfire has done. We can hire people to make graphic, billboard. We can do anything, any of the natural channels for advertising, but it really is word of mouth. It's evangelism that gets things moving.
Well, and I would say because we are a community, if there's something that we can do better, we would love to hear feedback.
And by we, he means him, because he needs
I
to
would
filter
love
it.
to hear feedback.
Yeah.
Her Majesty can't take it.
This is Laura's baby, she doesn't want to hear anything negative about it, but we need to hear that, because ultimately that we want to also create the best product and the best environment for people to come in, enjoy themselves, to feel comfortable getting up and telling a story. And so if there's something that we're doing that we could do better, we need to know.
Absolutely.
So how do people contact you?
Facebook is probably the number one. The Tell Fargo on Facebook. We also have a couple of different websites. So thetellfargo.com is the Tell's website, and then the partnership that we formed, the parent company of the
Or
Tell,
as he calls it, the Shell Corporation.
the Shell Corporation for the Tell, is storyhomestead.com. So any of those
in Denny's.
that we partnered on that, we worked together. It took us a very long time to come up with a
My
name.
food came. You said, "How about Story Homestead?" I said, "Fine." It had been weeks and months. We did want to do. Can I say? I'm going to. We had wanted Aural and Annal, A-U-R-A-L, meaning hearing, and Annal, meaning like the annals of time, because that's what we do. But somebody wants to run for office someday. So
and we
maybe
gotta-
my eye on the URL.
What that actually
Well, that was sort of the goal, was
That
to
was
get
it.
people to mistake it. But we also want sponsors. So-
Right. There's that.
There's that.
Yeah, if we had our druthers, we would have called season 4, "Oh, for fuck's sake."
Yeah.
But I think that we would have had to go to Northern for the entire season.
Might have had to, yeah.
Might have, or fantasies or something.
Yeah, it would have been tough.
And I think we would have lost some audience members in that
Might
case.
have, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I really want to thank you both for coming in to the studio tonight
Our
and,
pleasure.
talking about what it's like to start something that didn't exist before you guys got here. And so all of you viewers, do go like them on Facebook, and subscribe to our channel at ShortCast TV on YouTube, so that you can always see the latest episode of Just Start. Thanks again for coming in.
Thanks for having us.